Yeah, so good evening all. I'm Rinfi George. I'm Rinfi George, Vice Chair, IEEE CS Chapter, IEEE SB SJCET. IEEE SB SJCET in collaboration with IEEE RAS, IAS and CS societies of IEEE SB SJCET. Welcome you all to the session on full stack development and its industry needs. So today's speaker will be Mr. Moinam Chatterjee. He's a software consultant at Mercedes-Benz Research and Development Institute, India. Currently, he is the Content and Archives Coordinator at IEEE India Council. He is also the Chair-elect of IEEE Young Professionals Bangalore section. So before we begin, I kindly request all of you to mute your mics and turn off your cameras. You can also use the chat box in case of any doubts or queries. Now I would like to invite Mr. Alvin Thomas, Chairman IEEE SB SJCET, to give the welcome speech.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all the participants who have joined in this meeting. Once again, I do welcome you all to St. Joseph College of Engineering and Technology, Palai, IEEE Student Branch Online Web Conclave. At the outset, I would like to congratulate and highly appreciate all the volunteers and executive members for the well-thought-of planning and excellent coordination. I thank the college management, Dean, IEEE, and branch counselor for proper advices, permissions, and support to organize such spectacular programs. So far, throughout this pandemic, we have been through a series of tech talks and events which molded the audience as well as a host to great extent. Today, we are virtually gathered to attend the webinar on the topic full stack development and its need in industry. Thank you all for joining with us. I would like to welcome Mr. Moinam Chatterjee, who is a software consultant, Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India Private Limited. Also, he is a chair of IEEE Young Professional Affinity Group Bangalore section, who is going to take on the topic like full stack development and its need in industry. We are honored to have you here, and we gladly welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our principal, Dr. J. David, who stays with us not by talks but by action. I would also like to welcome our manager, Father Matthew Korambura, who guides us both spiritually as well as academically. I would like to welcome Dr. Madhukumaras, the Vice Principal of SJCT Palai, as well as the Dean IEEE, who constantly pushes us to deliver in a better ways on whatever activity is conducted in SJCT. I also welcome Professor Shabadnath Ji, the Vice Chair, Young Professional Students Coordination Team, IEEE India Council, whose presence creates the essence of integrity with the section. Also, I welcome our branch counselor, Dr. Arumpi, who is a backbone of IEEE. I do welcome all the chapter advisors of the societies whose constant cooperation makes students strive for more. Now, the participants, without you, nothing is completed. I welcome all the participants to this grand virtual meeting. I sincerely hope that all have some takeaway from this section. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin. Now I heartily welcome Mr. Moinam Chatterjee to take the session.
Thank you all the volunteers for having me. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Today's session will be about full stack development and why it is become such a hot topic in the industry, and how you as an budding engineer can take some steps forward to go towards the journey of full stack developer. And I'll just tell you, certain things which will help you understand, first of all, what is a full stack developer, and what is the type of job description, and what is the type of knowledge which you need to acquire to call yourself that. So, as you already heard, I'm a software consultant and Mercedes-Benz R&D India. So I work as a full stack developer in Mercedes-Benz, and at the moment I am working on a stack which has relation regarding web development. So there is front end, there is back end, there is database, there is DevOps. I'll get into more as we continue the session. So my main intention from this session is that you guys can understand what it is, how you might have heard this full stack or stacks in general. You might have had something called as mean stack, and basically what does all this mean, and if you are interested in going towards that, what do you need to do for having a better grasp of the fundamentals to go forward in this line of career. So, just I have created four some subtopics for all of you. So the main thing out here is first of all just an brief explanation of what a full stack developer is, and how you can be a full stack developer, what are the technical necessities, know-hows which you require to do it, and what type of career choices do you have as a full stack developer or a normal software developer. And at the end of the day, we'll have a Q&A session where you can ask me questions regarding anything related to full stack or anything you want, and I'll be glad to help you. So okay, so let us go towards full stack development. And I like to put quotes in my slides. So this was a very interesting quote. If debugging is the process of removing software bugs, then programming must be the process of putting them in. So the moral of the story is when you code in big applications, there is always a chance that a bug can appear. Having bugs in your systems during development does not mean that your development is bad. It means that you are going towards the right direction, because if you don't have bugs, you might be doing something wrong. So just a very, very simple definition, you can say maybe literature for all of you. So normally full stack development or full stack as a particular literal term defines as the development of both the front end, that is the UI, or that is the client side in terms of browsers, that is the website which you open, and then there is a server side, which is the backend portions of a web application. So full stack web developers have the ability to design complete web applications and websites. So there's a very big difference between a web application and a website. They work on both front end, back end, database, and debugging of web applications or websites. So when we talk about websites out here, websites can be as generic as only client side. So maybe if you're creating a portfolio for yourself, or if you're creating a game, a simple game, there is no login, nothing. It's just a very simple game, maybe a car race which anyone can play. So you can have a car racing game as a website, or you can have just a portfolio to showcase your talents or showcase yourself. So that is a website. When you talk about a web application is something which is a complete, a very big stack of technologies combined into one application. So that has a very, very intrigued server side. There is a proper database. There is security attached to it. There are proper deployments going on, and there is a proper DevOps line of process which signifies. So this is the major difference between a web application and a website. Okay, so just if someone asks you, you know how to answer that. So in the modern day of development, there are normally so these are some of the stacks which I have found on the net, and a lot of people in the industry talking about it. So first there is a mean stack, there's a MERN stack, there's a Django stack, and there is a Rails or Ruby, and there is a LAMP stack. So these stacks are which are other than your main full stack. So full stack is one of the most common ones, but as the generations come and all the new years, mean stack and MERN stacks are also getting a lot of recognition in the current day in the society. So mean stack is basically MongoDB, Express, AngularJS, and Node.js. So what this means is MongoDB is a NoSQL database. Express is a Node server. Okay, so Express is a Node server. AngularJS is your client-side code, and Node.js is your backend side code. Then there is a MERN stack. It's the same thing. It's just that you are changing the client with Angular. So you are just replacing the Angular with React. So Angular and React are at the moment one of the most interesting frameworks in UI development. So One is made by Google, one is made by Facebook. Both of them have their advantages, both of them have their disadvantages. If you would like to talk, if you would want me to talk about this, maybe I can talk at the end. But yeah, so these are the main differences. Then we have something called the specific Django stack. So that is Django, Python, and MySQL. So what this is basically is this is for applications which are mainly script based, where Python is the main bread and butter of the application. In the other mean and merge stacks, Node.js is your main server, and that is the main brain of your website, you can say, or web application, you can say, the main brain of your web application. So with Python, MySQL, and Django, what you are doing is you are changing the concepts. The rules are getting changed. There is no specific client side. You can have a client side in terms of there are Python libraries which can help you to have a front end, but it does not give you the same features as available with Angular. But in this type of cases, you are not very interested in the front end. You are making the scripts as a backend services which can be run and consumed by other applications as they go. Then there is Ruby, PHP, MySQL. So Ruby at the moment is something which is it is taking a lot of, it's taking a lot of developers to, go to Ruby again. So Ruby is actually, um, it is not a very new programming language, but I think Ruby has again started getting some type of, familiarity, and, a lot of eyes are getting rolled. So maybe if you guys are interested, you can also look at this. But Ruby is basically, it's a general programming language, and I believe that the implementation of Ruby is also done in C. So syntax-wise, it is not a very big change, but it gives you a lot of features and fundamentals which are not easily available in C++ or Java. Then there is a LAMP stack. It is Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So again, LAMP stack is basically towards the server end. It is a complete server-based stack. So Linux, what they mean by is that majority of the web application servers which are running in cloud or which are running on normal, data warehouses, they're all Linux systems. So the need of learning Linux has increased. So if you are interested in that type of an area, then learning Linux commands, you don't need to be a god in Linux, but you need to have a basic or intermediate fundamentals of how do you write, shell commands in Linux. Because when you are doing cloud deployment, when you're working on cloud, when your applications are getting deployed on cloud, the basics which you use at the end of the day, they come all to a shell script. So writing a shell script becomes a very important part of your job. You have Apache. So Apache out here, Apache has a lot of things. So Apache has MySQL as a database. Apache has, it has big data types of libraries. It has various types of libraries. They're all open source. So that is why the people who want to work on data manipulation or data reading, like big data analytics topics or data mining topics, maximum of them prefer LAMP. But just a small change. PHP is something, ladies and gentlemen, it has become very obsolete. As years progress, PHP is going to lose its grace. So if there are people who are, working or who love PHP in your engineering course and are working on it, I highly suggest that to all of you that you guys try to learn some other type of a backend service, maybe C# or maybe Java, maybe Node.js. But at the moment, PHP is losing its grace. So keep that in your mind. So these are certain technologies. What you say when you say that you are a full stack developer. So say for me as a developer out here in Mercedes-Benz. So in front end, I use HTML, JavaScript, not basically, but yes. So I work on Angular and React, but mainly at the current my project is on Angular. So I work on Angular as my client code, HTML, CSS, a bit of jQuery. JavaScript is not directly required because we write the Angular code in something called as TypeScript. In backend, I work on Java. I have I have a PostgreSQL database. PostgreSQL is the elephant symbol which is being represented out here. It is an open source database which has been taking a lot of craze at the moment. So learning Postgres databases for you going for job interviews is going to give you a very big boost. Then there is DevOps. So DevOps is nothing but development and operations of an application, which is basically on a day-to-day basis, you see that your Android applications get updates, right? So the same way there are updates for web applications also. So for that channel to happen, there is a procedure. So most probably, hopefully, you are all familiar with Git. If you are not, please learn Git. Git is staple diet of any developer at the moment. If you don't know Git, you will be in a lot of problem. So please learn Git as fast as possible. So whenever you commit a code on Git, so DevOps, what it does is you can create certain pipelines and certain scripts in such a way that whenever a code is committed, that code is then run into certain scripts. What that script does is it creates an executable file of your program, and that executable file can be directly, deployed in your server where the application is running so that it can initiate an update of your current application. So that is what DevOps is in a nutshell. So I am working on Azure DevOps, that is Microsoft Azure. For a lot of you at the moment, I think AWS is a good option. It's Amazon Web Service. Amazon Web Service or Microsoft Azure, these two are the main DevOps technologies used in the industry worldwide. So what knowing either Azure or Amazon should be good enough for you. So as a full stack developer, there can be also a need for you to know development of mobile applications, but normally it is very rare. We have separate mobile application developers. They normally are not part of full stack, but other than mobile app dev, what happens is at this moment there are automation testing has also become a very big popular field at the moment. What it means is that whenever you have committed a new code, there are certain scripts which run, which test your application thoroughly according to the scripts which you have made, and then they create reports. So if you have committed a code, but unfortunately you might have made some mistake, and due to some change in a particular file A, it is creating issue in a chain of logic in file C. In this type of situations, automation test cases are very important. So if any one of you are interested in software testing, automation testing is the biggest field at the moment. There are very few people in automation testing, and people want, the industries are looking for people who can help them in automation test cases. So as a full stack developer, you should also know basics of automation test cases. Automation test cases is basically a lot of people use something called as Selenium. It is an application which allows you to do some type of an automation testing. It is a completely different world. I'll not get more into it, but if you are looking into software testing, please look into automation test cases. Okay, so now that you know what different stacks are, you know what a full stack is, or what a full stack developer is, or what is the type of technologies you need. Now the second question is, okay, I get it. You have told me what type of technologies are required, what is it, but how do I go towards being a full stack developer? So again, a quote for all of you. Sometimes it pays to stay in bed on Monday rather than spending the rest of the week debugging Monday's code. So I think it might not be very familiar with you as engineering students, but as a developer in any company, maximum of the times, if you're leading a project or if you're working on a very big, vast project, debugging is an art. So you should learn or you should know how to debug applications, because faster debugger makes you a better developer. So debugging is a very, very essential part of becoming a good developer. Okay, so as we go into the a roadmap of being a full stack developer, so this is something in terms of the front end, that is the client side. So in the client side, if you're completely new to my full stack development at the moment, I'm focusing it only for web applications, because uh, in this current era, desktop applications are becoming very less and less. Maximum of the applications are going and converting into web applications, and they just create, separate applications which can have the same type of an user interface as a web application. For an example, if you are using Amazon, so Amazon mainly is a website. Now, what they have done is that they have, structured their code in such a way that now they are able to provide you a mobile application, they are able to provide you a tablet application, they're able to provide you a Windows PC application if you want, if you need. So these applications are secondary. The primary, business which Amazon does in terms of the Amazon online services, in terms of the shopping which you do, is through the web browser. So their application's main focus is the web application. So in front end, you should know in the first initial stage what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Um, a lot of people might also have heard about things like jQuery. Um, these are all libraries, but what I feel is, at this moment in time, people have now gone towards something called as single page applications. So what a single page application means is that um, when you go from, say, home to about page in an HTML, in a website, in a normal website, okay? In a normal website, when you are switching between home page and about page, what happens is that if you are created a normal basic web application, you use something as an anchor tag. What anchor tag does is it loads a certain HTML file to switch between those two views from home page to about page. But now, to increase the speed, to have better memory handling, to have more faster loading times, to have faster response times for the users, people have started to prefer single page applications where there is only one HTML file and you keep on changing dynamically certain parts inside that one HTML file according to the separate types of options you click. Maybe it is on a button, maybe you are doing, but basically it is one index.html, that's it. Inside that index.html, you keep on changing certain elements here and there. So it gives you the feel that you are switching between pages, but actually you are in the same page. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript is first. Then when we go to level 2, I have talked about React and Angular. So yeah, so React and Angular, these are the main single page application frameworks and libraries at the moment. So Angular is a framework and React.js is a library. Also something, if any of you are interested in working on Node.js or you have been working with JavaScript, then you must also know that there's a OOPS concept of JavaScript also. Um, it is basically the JavaScript 2015, which allows OOPS concepts of classes and objects to be a part of JavaScript. And necessary if you are working on React, So in React, there is a file extension called as JSX. You must know how you write code in OOPS format of JavaScript. In Angular, there is something called as a TypeScript, which is created by Microsoft. So you can write code as you write for C++ and Java with a bit different syntax. So it is more towards C Sharp or Java. That syntax follows. And what TypeScript does is it converts your code into JavaScript when you are running it on the server. But yeah, so if you want to go in depth in front end, then learning the JavaScript 2015, which is the OOPS concept, will make you go, far into the world of front. So again, backend roadmap I already showed you in the slide before. So these are certain things. If you want to be a mean stack, so mean stack is I think more relevant for app developers. So if your application is of a smaller size, that means that application is not a very big distributed application. It is not something like an Amazon application or something like that. In those type of cases, Node.js is more than enough and it is faster. So you can use Node.js as a backend. You can work on Angular as it is, and you can also work with NoSQL DB. But when you are working on enterprise applications, which have connected applications, which is very big, which has 30,000, 40,000, 60,000 lines of codes, in those type of languages, it is very difficult to write, NoSQL databases because you need structure. If you don't have structure, it is very difficult to work with enterprise databases. So that is why in full stack, we don't prefer NoSQL. We always prefer the structured databases, that is MySQL, PostgreSQL, or, normal SQL, Oracle SQL, any of the ones. So these are certain technologies out here. So if you could see that there is something called as Jenkins and Git. So again, these are all part of DevOps. I think from all the webinars I have taken, I have come across to very few people who have worked or who know what Jenkins is. So this is very, I would say that this is something which you would not require on a day-to-day basis, because this only comes into the picture when you are dealing with the deployments, when you are dealing with updates of applications. So like version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4. In those type of situations, Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, your Azure, AWS as a, in terms of deployments come into the picture, or else you would have never heard about it. Also, I would like to tell something. There is something called a Spring. I don't know if you might have heard it. If you work on Java, so there is Java SE and there is Java EE. So Java SE is Java Standard Edition and Java EE is Java Enterprise Edition. And then there is something called as framework, Spring Boot, Spring MVC. So what Spring Framework does is that it works on top of Java as a language, but it helps those applications to run in a microservice environment. I'm not going to go in detail in microservice. It is a very advanced topic. It's not required at the moment, but a basic knowledge would be good for your career. So microservices is something which Netflix uses. The basic understanding of microservices is that consider that there are 30 separate dots on a page. All those 30 separate dots are connected with, pencil lines, and all those dots can communicate with each other. That is what microservices are. And there are certain types of things which we need to do to communicate, and it is a separate world. But that is something at the moment which a lot of web developers are doing. Everyone is learning microservices because people now don't talk about normal Java applications. Maximum of the times they talk about microservices. They talk about, do you know Spring? Do you know Spring Boot? So learning Spring would help you a lot to be in the guidelines or the requirements of industries at the moment. So I think one of the biggest part as a developer is that a lot of you, I mean, I remember in college, I just thought that, when can we stop learning theory and, just please, I cannot see, I cannot bear any more theoretical knowledge. But unfortunately for all of you, it only gets worse as you go into the software development field, because the software development field, ladies and gentlemen, is so vast that it is very, very, important that you keep on updating yourself at each and every moment. A Java version, when a Java 11 comes, when a Java 12 comes, when a Java 13 comes, each and every version has a lot of changes. There was something, previous versions of Java. When I studied my bachelor's 3 years ago, when I completed my bachelor's 3 years ago, I had Java servlets. The new version of Java have no concept of Java servlets. They are no more. They do no more exist. So you need to update yourself on a regular basis. And the things which I have written out here, like NPM, Bootstrap, and material design, these are actually something related to the front end. So NPM is like a node package manager, which you can use for Node.js and for React and Angular applications. It basically is nothing but plugin installer. Same way there is Maven for Java. If there are any budding Android developers in the mix, you might also know Gradle. But normally for Java applications, we prefer Maven. So we have all our configurations written in Maven and we create Maven projects. Okay, so let us talk about career choice. So maybe at this moment, you have just got an understanding of what type of technologies are there in front end, what is there in back end, what type of technologies you should, maybe focus on according to what you feel, your passion is. You don't have to be a full stack developer. There is nothing that I have to be a full stack developer to be successful. No, that is not the case. But if you're a person who likes to know different parts of an application from front to end, full stack development is something which will help you doing that. And see, it is always the same case, right? Whenever you play games or whenever you have any types of projects or any types of operations, what you try to do is you always try to get a person who has multiple skills, right? So when you have more than one skill, it is helpful because you can contribute in different areas. But in the same time, if you have multiple skills, but your level of those skills are not good enough, it does not reflect good, right? So you can be a full stack developer who knows how to write queries, who knows how to create schemas and everything in DB. The person knows how to do backend code, but your main focus is UI and UX. That can be a situation. But you can also be a person who knows UI, who knows all these things, but you are a pure Java or C# developer. You don't need to have every knowledge, but some parts of the knowledge helps you when you try to make web applications. So another quote for you guys: it's better to wait for a productive programmer to become available than it is to wait for the first available programmer to become productive. So if you have noticed, all the quotes which I have said, they all relate with debugging and productivity. The main reason behind this is that when a programmer is not productive or when a programmer is learning on large applications or core applications, they are more prone to make mistakes. Mistakes are good, you get to learn, but what happens is because of those mistakes, it becomes very difficult to debug certain problems. Because in large enterprise applications, there are hundreds and thousands of modules, and all those modules are some way interconnected to each other. If you make one mistake, if you change some value, maybe you just change a Boolean value from true to false. It might break 100 different things. So that is why it is important to have programmers who are productive or who know what they're doing, rather than um, someone who is not completely sure but has a good understanding. For you as freshers, all the companies, maximum of the companies look forward to people who they can train. So this is not something which is applicable for you. This is something which is applicable for people who have been working in industry and they need to move to the next level of their career. Okay, so you might be already aware. I'm considering that a lot of you are um, third year or fourth year students. So normally in the IT industry, there are two types of organizations. One is a service-based organization and one is a product-based organization. The main difference is in a service-based organization, you have clients. So if I am a client of yours, I'm going to tell you what type of application I want, and you are going to work for me. And after I get my application, I can either choose to have you maintain my application for the next 3 to 5 years, or I can say that, okay, I'm happy with what you have provided. I want the entire source code of the project. It is my intellectual right. And now I can do whatever I want with it. So you made the project for me. I gave you the money. The deal is closed. That is that you're providing a service. This can be in maintaining servers, it can be creating applications, it can be creating anything. Now, when we talk about product-based companies, so product-based companies, the situation is different. Product-based companies, you have a product, like for an example, Microsoft. Microsoft has a product called Microsoft Office. Now you need that Microsoft Office. So what Microsoft is going to do is it is going to say that I have a product which fulfills all your needs. You can have a deal with me in such a way that you can use all these applications. If you want, we can have a deal where I can add some additional features in that product specifically for you, so that you are able to execute certain business tasks which is specific to your organization. But mainly, I'm going to get the money, or I'm going to have my main business by selling my product. So these are the two different types of organizations. So depending on your skills, depending on what type of career choice you want to make, what type of line of career you want to go, choosing the right organization is very crucial in the starting, so that you are going in the right path. So I listed some pros and cons from from my experiences as a full stack developer, and also just getting to know about full stack development for the last 3 years, how it works and how it does not work. So let us start with the cons first. So the solution chosen can be wrong for the project. So what this basically means is that a stack of technologies is not always required for a normal application to run. So for an example, if you remember, I told you about website and web applications. If you are creating a portfolio website where you are sharing your own resume in a more interactive way, you don't need to execute the thinking process of a full stack. It is not required. You don't need a DB. You don't need a server. You just need a client side. So you should not select technologies for the sake of it. You should always understand what type of project you are working on and how faster and how better solution I can make. If you feel that your application is needing a proper server and DB, then in that case, you might either go with MERN, mean, or full stack. Okay. So the decision making is very important in this case. The solution chosen can be dependent on developer skills. So what happens is, again, this is not something which you will have to experience in the starting years, but normally in a project, when you have a team of 5 to 6 people, and in those 5 to 6 people, if there are three full stack, so those are critical resource. If a full stack developer leaves a project, it is a very, very big loss, because that one person is doing multiple things. So getting a replacement for those type of resources is very difficult and is a challenge for those organizations. But on the bright side, you can say that, hey, either you can increase my package or I leave you. So there is a pros for you, a con for the organization. So this solution can generate a key person link. So this is exactly what I said. Being a full stack developer is increasingly complex. So see, when you're working on different technologies, you cannot just you cannot just focus on one place. You're focusing on multiple areas as you go ahead with developing applications. So in this type of situations, what happens is, sometimes you might say that, my workload is increasing a lot, or it is too much stress for me. I'm doing this also, I'm doing that also. I need to focus on a certain area. So it is fine. Everyone does not need to be a full stack developer. Everyone does not need to be on. Even if you are a full stack developer, it does not mean that you have to be an expert in everything. You can be an expert in one area, and you can have a good knowledge in other parts of the technologies, which also helps a lot. Okay. Let us go to pros. So you can master all the techniques involved in a development project. So what this means is that you will be in a situation to understand how an application works from front to end. Exactly. When you click on a submit button in a form, when you click on a login button in a form, what happens? You clicked on a login button, but what did it do? For an example, let us consider you see a lot of websites where it says that login with Google, login with Facebook. What does it mean? How does it work? There are certain things like OIDC. It is called OpenID Connect. So OpenID Connect is like an security protocol which is used to have logins by different types of accounts like Google, Facebook, Reddit, or anything like that. So all these concepts you will not be learning. Just 1 minute. Okay, yeah, sorry guys. So yeah, so as I was telling, so that you can actually understand different parts of the development project, which helps you grasp the root concepts of how an application works from the starting to end. You can make a prototype very rapidly. So obviously, if a person knows how to work on front end, how to work on database, so the one person creating the prototype is very easy, right? Rather than having 5 to 6 people collaborating together, debugging the code, finalizing, making sure that there are no mistakes, one person can take charge of a prototype and complete it very fast. You can provide help to all team members. Exactly. If you have knowledge on multiple technologies, you can very easily blend in and help someone who has been stuck in some area. That is one of the things where industries love full stack developers for. So for an example, if I'm working on a UI code and my colleague says that, Moinam, I'm having some problem with my backend Java code, there is some problem with the JDBC driver, can you help me? Because I have that knowledge, I can, try to help him, which at the end of the day results in a faster completion of tasks. Because maximum of the times, a lot of tasks are interrelated, and helping your colleague can also increase your, increase completion of the task which you are working for. You can reduce the cost of the project, yes, but again, reducing the cost of the project also generates a key project risk. If the person leaves, then the project is doomed. You can reduce the time used for team communication. Obviously, if there are 5 to 6 people in the project who know everything, then it is very easier that I can say that, okay, Gokul, you work on this module and you make the UI, you make the changes in DB, you make the changes in backend and make it ready. Once you have that code ready, I'm going to have a module B and we are going to link them together. It makes life easier, right? Um, you can switch between front and back end development based on requirements. Yes, you can better understand all aspects of new and upcoming technologies. In certain situations, you need some information or some root or knowledge on both front end and back end to grasp these technologies, or else you are left in a place where you know some of the things, but you're not able to grasp all of it. It is not your fault, but if in a situation you are required to work with technologies where you need to have the knowledge of both front and back end to understand what is going on. In those type of cases, full stack developers increases your um, it decreases your learning curve by exponential amount of time. You can learn a topic within weeks, which would take you months if you are not already aware with the full stack development procedure. Then, as I said, it is not the end of the world. You can either choose to be a full stack developer, or you can either choose to be good in a specific thing. Um, since being a full stack developer means you can work on both front and back end of web development process, does it mean that going to full stack should be your primary objective? As I said, not necessarily. It is an option. It is not the only option you have. If working for major tech companies is your dream, then full stack developers are actually a path of getting there. But not everyone is best served by learning how to become a full stack developer. You know, Google and Facebook don't only hire full stack developers. Google, Facebook, Apple also hires specific professional UI UX developers. They hire database management or database admins, I think they call, and they hire specific backend developers. They hire specific UX designers. So it is not the end of the world, guys. But in the current atmosphere of trying to save cost and getting more better people, if you are a full stack developer, so if there is a person who is very good in web development, he might be better than you in web development, but you are not bad. You are maybe a bit, you might have a bit less excellence than him, but him or her, but you are actually having more knowledge in other boundary technologies. In that case, you will be considered for the job because they know that I'm getting a person who I can put into multiple parts of the project as and as it is required, which is a very big boost. So, if you're looking to transition back into the workforce after time away, or you want to start a part-time side hustle on top of your day job, then maybe full stack development is not your cup of tea, because full stack development is a very time-consuming process. You need to put a lot of time in it. You need to have a lot of patience in it, and then only you can reach a certain place where you can say that I'm good enough to um, help you in certain technical areas. So yeah, so I think this is all from me. Um, I think I am open to Q&A from all of you. You can go to my GitHub account. There are certain projects which are there. Um, there are certain projects I'm working on some new projects. So I keep on I'll keep on committing them to my GitHub repository. You will have a better understanding of how the projects work, and yeah, it might help you if you are a web developer, if you're a Java developer. There are very few projects now on GitHub. I did not get much time, but I'm working on it. So if you guys are interested, you can look at my GitHub page and you can reach me out at the email addresses. So, okay, guys, that's all from me. If anyone has any questions, please um, feel free to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed a wonderful session. So, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves or just put them down in the chat box and we will be addressing them. So, I think we are having some questions.
Okay. Okay, so I see a question called as okay, just from Gokul. So, scope of full stack in your company. So, the scope of full stack in Mercedes Benz is a lot, because there are projects, there are new projects which keep on coming and going, and having a person who has credibility or who has knowledge on more than one project always helps. And the scope is very large. So normally, not only Mercedes Benz, but maximum of the organizations, they try to look for full stack developers, but you don't get very good full stack developers in the industry, and they have to settle for someone who is not a proper full stack, but maybe they have that option to groom them further. But proper full stack developers is a very big scarcity in the industry. So, okay, so I see Kushant. Okay, can you please explain what are the tasks of a full stack developer at at an automobile king? So see, if you follow the automobile news, 1 minute. Okay, so can you please explain the tasks of full stack developer? So as a full stack developer in Mercedes Benz, so Mercedes Benz has an R&D section and it has an IT R&D. So an IT department which works on certain R&D topics, but it is mainly IT. So if you already know, Mercedes Benz is actually part of Daimler, and we are all Daimler employees actually. So a full stack developer has a very big need in Daimler because at the moment the cars are all going, autonomous. So the need of having a good, a very good IT backbone for your cars has become a very big necessity. Few years ago, maximum of the cars were, having mechanical parts, but those mechanical parts are now being, they're all being changed with ECUs, electronic components, to have those electronic components running in a certain manner. You need IT systems. So, and to run those IT systems, you need software. And to run those softwares, you need full stack developers. So it is not only automobile industry as Mercedes-Benz, but it is in general every company that they're looking for full stack developers. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. What's the most puzzling programming challenge you have come across? I'll tell you something. When I was in my fourth year of college, I always saw, there are some websites called as Code Chef, and people actually, put a lot of time and effort in, having those, very interesting type of, questions, right? Maybe some memory management questions that you need to maybe print a graph, or you need to print a tree, or you need to traverse through a tree, but you can use only maybe this much KB of space. But what happens in a normal day-to-day basis in any development is you don't come across this type of challenges. The challenges which you come across in normal development is how can I make things faster in less time and with less memory utilization, for an example. And majority of the times, it is not the major tasks which are difficult. The major tasks are linking those separate modules together so that they work very properly with each other without any problems. So I think the last interesting module which I worked on was something called as rights and authorizations of users. So we created an entire functionality from backend to front end with database and everything, which had the complete flow of authorizations. So if a user is clicking on a request button, what happens, who are the people who are supposed to approve it, and the entire tool chain we created. So that was fun. So that was something new. And also we worked on a dynamic query builder. So you can just write an configuration, and with that configuration, it will create an query for you, which you can directly execute. So you don't have to literally type the queries. You can just write in the configuration you want, and the query will be built. So yeah. Okay. Is there anything else from any of you?
I think the questions are over. So
Okay.
thank you, sir.
Okay then. Yeah.
So now I would like to invite Mr. Kushanatha, Chairman IEEE CS Chapter, IEEE SB SJCET, to give the vote of thanks.
Hello. Can you hear me, Ranfi?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. So it's my privilege to have you been asked to deliver the vote of thanks on this very occasion on behalf of IEEE SB SJCET and the Indian fraternity of this institution. First of all, I extend my sincere thanks to God Almighty for showering His blessings upon us. Now, I would like to thank the mesmerizing and efficient speaker, Mr. Moinam Chatterjee, software consultant at Mercedes-Benz Research and Development India, for spending his valuable time to grace this occasion. Thank you, dear speaker, for sharing the knowledge on the full stack development and its career possibilities for us. As a token of our love and appreciation, we present you this virtual memento. Hope you like it, sir. Next, I extend my sincere gratitude to our manager, Father Matthew Koramkura, and Dr. Madhuguma S., Dean IEEE SB SJCET, who were always supportive enough to conduct our events in an organized and successful manner. Now I thank our band counselor, Dr. Arun P., for his support and guidance in all our endeavors. Thank you, sir, for being with us in this evening. Now I thank the faculty advisors of IEEE SB SJCET, Mrs. Nita M. Bichu, Mr. Saju S., and Mr. Georgin Thomas for their cooperation in conducting these events in an efficient manner. I would also like to thank the people who worked behind the curtains to make this event successful. A special thanks to our technical arrangement team, design team, and content writing team who worked tirelessly to make this session a grand success. Thank you to all team. Last but not the least, I specifically thank the participants who were the life of the session. Hope your involvement in the further session too. I once again thank Mr. Moinam Chatterjee for this wonderful session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for having me. I hope you all understood something about full stack development, and I could help you to have some choices in your career. And if there are any questions for you, do not hesitate. You can always reach out to me at the email addresses which I had sent. Thank you. All the best, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye then.
Thank you, sir. Participants, make sure that you fill the feedback form.
Thank you, Mr. Kusnath. And guys, please don't forget to fill in the feedback form. And thank you all for participating. Have a good night.